Welcome to this deep dive into slots in Agent Studio. Slots are essential building blocks that make your plugins dynamic and adaptable, allowing them to collect the data needed to automate tasks like PTO requests or Jira ticket updates. We'll focus on the core concepts and configurations, saving the advanced topics like resolver strategies for another video. Let's jump in. Before we begin, here are goals for today. By the end, you'll understand what slots are, why they're important, and how to configure them to create powerful plugins. Think of slots as data containers that hold the data your plugin needs from the user, like dates or IDs. They allow your plugins to be flexible, adapting to different contexts and users without hard-coding specific values. Slots can be filled by prompting the user or retrieving data from the AI assistant's context. For example, in a PTO request plugin, slots like start date and reason capture the specific dates and purpose of the request, making the plugin reusable for any employee. Slots are versatile. They can be filled by asking the user for input or pulling data from the system. Importantly, each slot must be defined with a specific data type like a string or a number, to ensure the plugin processes the data correctly. For example, a business justification slot must be of the type string to avoid any errors. We'll explore how to set these types when we get to the configuration. Without slots, plugins will be rigid, limited to specific cases. Slots make them adaptable to any user or context. In that way, slots make your plugin flexible by enabling them to handle various scenarios. For instance, a Jira ticket closing plugin can use a ticket number to work with any ticket ID. Slots make your plugin robust by using validation rules that act as checks to prevent mistakes, such as entering a past date for a PTO request. This ensures your plugin runs smoothly. And slots make your plugin user-friendly by collecting only the necessary data slots, streamlining interactions, making the AI assistant intuitive. Let's go over how to configure a slot. Let's head to Agent Studio. In my screen, I'm already in a conversational process called Jira ticket closing process. So basically, to close a Jira ticket, we probably need a few things, right? We need probably a ticket number, some kind of justification, maybe change the state as well, even though you can hard code that. It depends on like the user. But let's set up some slots and let's see it. So on the top right here, you can see this slots icon. So we're gonna open it and it opens this model. In this case, I earlier created a slot called ticket number. I'm gonna delete it and go ahead and do it again. Press create new, ticket number. And usually ticket numbers in Jira are alphanumeric. So the data type will be a string. But as you can see here, we have multiple types of data types: string, integer, number, boolean, array, object, user, which is a Moveworks user, and then several others that are custom data types that we'll go over in a different video. Then you can also add a slot description for the AI assistant. This is a good place to provide a lot of context to the AI assistant because sometimes your slots can be inferred instead of asked. So we can just write something like, this is the ticket provided by the user. And you can also add an example. For example, TUO12345. And then if we scroll down a bit, you'll see that we have a slot validation policy. Basically, what you use here is something called Moveworks DSL. Moveworks DSL, which we'll go over in a different video as well, allows you to write rules in our own language to validate certain configurations. So I don't think we need a slot validation here, but we also have a slot validation description that allows you to add a warning message or error message whenever the slot validation doesn't pass. And then we have a slot inference policy. So basically, you can have the AI assistant infer from the message of the user what the slot is, or you can always prompt the user to provide that slot. In this case, I wanted to infer. Let's create another slot, something for, let's say, the justification. Justification is also going to be a string, the justification for closing the ticket. And I do want to add a slot validation here because I don't want it to be too long. I just want it to be around less than 30 characters. So we can do something called value. So this field called value will be referring to the slot value. And then I can actually check the length with a DSL function called length. And then I can say something like, I want the value to be less than 30. So now we know that if there's more than 30 characters, we'll have an error. And we cannot have a validation such as Your justification needs to be less than 30 characters. Cool. And also, I also want the AI to always prompt the user because sometimes we want the users to really provide this information correctly. Safe. And that's how you set up slots. If you wanted to use it on an action, which we don't have right now, we have an action, and then we'll set them as required slots here. And then with this information, before the AI assistant runs this action, it will ask for these slots or infer them from the conversation. That's how you configure a slot. In this video, we've taken a deep dive into slots in Agent Studio, exploring their roles as data placeholders, their importance for flexibility and user experience, and how to configure them with names, types, and validation rules. Slots are the key to making your plugins adaptable and reliable. Try defining a slot like due date in Agent Studio to get hands-off experience. In another video, we'll look at how slots are filled using resolver strategies. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.